Hi. Hello
Hey
again.
guys, how you
Did you
all
miss
doing?
Did you have time to miss us?
Hey Stu, hey Clara, I'll say hey Clara. I literally saw you like an hour ago. Hey Jess
Yeah.
and Stu, hey Twan, how you all doing?
Good.
Good. Doing good.
And I can already see some people in the live. I can see Sarah O'Halloran. I can see Morton V. Um, Comments. All right. No worries. We're trying to do as much as we possibly can without exhausting ourselves, and we're all feeling pretty exhausting now. So if we miss some evenings, I'm going to put a little caveat. We may miss some evenings just because we're getting tireder and tireder by the day. Hey, Sarah O'Halloran. We've got. Oh yes, very important message about Kate from Go A. We hope she feels better soon. We're sure she will. We've got Mark Bugard. Hey, Mark. Your set's wide open. We could have a surprise winner like when Estonia won in 2002. I think it's 2001.
It was
2001. 2002 is Latvia.
And your favourites are Switzerland, Bulgaria. Bulgaria. So look, we've got Clavs. Clavs, where have you been? I don't think I've seen you all week. We've missed you. We've got Frankie back. Hey, Frankie. We've got Rye Bailey.
We've seen you.
We've got Leon Zidias. Hey, Leon. I'm going to guess either in Cyprus or Greece. So Kalispera, whichever one of those you're in. We've got Kalispera, Euroboy 4. We've got Damjan Grubasic. Hey, Damjan, all the way from Serbia. We've got Audi 007. It's one of my favourite cars and my favourite spy. We've got Luka Kasimovic. I might have to ask Stuart for some help with the comments tonight because I can't seem to pick them up. Is Croatia dark course of Eurovision 2021? Well, we'll talk about that because Croatia rehearsed today. We've got Beyond G. We've got Sarah O'Halloran. We've got Joanne Johnson. Leon Zidias. I got it totally wrong. You're in Sweden, so I don't know how to say good evening to you in Swedish.
Hur är läget? That's what I've learned from Emma.
Can I just? I'm so surprised by how many languages everyone in the team speaks. We've got Stuart speaking a bit of. Well, Stuart, you're very, very good at Spanish. Clara seems to speak everything. Found out yesterday that Tommy speaks Hebrew.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
How
did he learn
really,
that?
really well, which came from nowhere. I love you, Clavs. King Andy, Miss Claralien, Princess Jess, Prince Stuart, Prince Twan. Yes. Lovely to see you back.
Baldies.
So, guys, we've had an absolutely jam-packed day full of second rehearsals today, which is pretty much all of semi-final one, with the exception of Malta, because they'll be rehearsing first tomorrow. We also had, hey, JP McKeon from Luxembourg. Guys, you need to come back to the contest. We're missing you. It's been too long. It's been like nearly 30 years, I think, which is insane. So all of semi-final one rehearsed today, apart from Malta. No real surprises. I mean, obviously, we haven't got new staging to talk about, but we can talk about some of the ones that we thought improved. Clara actually was able to see Australia's full performance run through. Unfortunately, I wasn't there and Tommy wasn't there. I don't think you saw it, Jess. I don't think you saw it, Stu. So maybe you guys are still in the dark. So maybe because Montaigne had another press conference today, and Clara, you were there.
Yes.
Maybe you can tell us about Montaigne's performance, because I'm dying to know.
Well, it's very dark. It's like she has this dark background, but there's a lot of flashing light, like flashy lights that like twirl around. She's joined by 4 dancers. The choreography is really great, and they're like going behind her and like appearing, and it's very posing, and there's not many visuals, like there's no scenery or anything like that. It's just color blocks moving, and I think the most colorful part is her hair, because she has this rainbow color hair. So I think it looks really well. I think it's very elegant, and it's hard to describe because it doesn't have much of the elements that we've seen on this year's Eurovision, so I'm still learning the vocabulary.
Yeah, and I have to say, I did catch a glimpse of what she's wearing. I do really love what she's wearing on stage. So yeah, and vocally, how was it vocally?
Oh, she was great. She was great. I have no doubts about her vocal. She mentioned in her press conference that people have in mind her performance in Madrid Gras, so she wants to progress from that performance and bring something more of a brainstorm that she had in her mind.
Yeah, there's been we've seen some comments with regards to people not paying Australia enough attention this year. We are trying to. Unfortunately, in the press centre, they haven't been announcing when Montaigne is doing a press conference. So just to let you guys know, before every country does their press conference, we normally get a loudspeaker announcement to let us know, maybe five minutes in advance. But they haven't done that for Australia on both occasions, I believe. So with luck, Clara happened to be there today and was able to take part, but none of the press are aware of when these press conferences are taking part. And obviously there's lots of other things going on. We're not always based in the press centre ready to jump into a press conference. Unfortunately, there's not enough of us there to be able to do that. And we have been going and getting interviews, so we're not in the press centre all day long. But you know, we want to try and give Montaigne as much coverage as possible and equal amounts to all of the other countries, because we think that's only fair. So hopefully we'll be able to give you some more content on Australia, but we will see. I did see a question, someone asking why Malta's not didn't rehearse today. It's nothing's happened. It was scheduled that way. Obviously we have the big six, I'll call them the big six, the big five plus Netherlands rehearsing tomorrow evening, so we won't get the full semi-2 run through, so it will spill over into the next day. So that's just a scheduling thing. Nothing wrong with Destiny or nothing wrong with her.
No, and thanks God she didn't rehearse today, because it would have been a very, very, very extremely long day for us and for everyone involved.
Yeah, thank you, Destiny. Let's have Frankie, thank you so much. We're really trying our hardest out here. It's very difficult because we haven't got so many feet on the ground, but we've got a great team working from home as well, including Twan, Jess, and Stu and Polly, and too many guys I can't even mention tonight. So we're trying our best, and we're glad you're enjoying it. And good luck with university. I can see someone mentioned Katerina. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. Obviously, we've got a concerning announcement today with regards to Kate or Katerina from Go A, who wasn't feeling well today. So as a precaution, she's had to have a PCR COVID test. Now, the rest of the band, because the artists are getting tested every 2 days as well. It's not just the press. So they've all tested negative for COVID using the rapid test, but in line with the health and safety rules around Eurovision, if someone is feeling unwell or is displaying any symptoms, and we don't know that she has actually been displaying any symptoms, all we know is that she was just feeling unwell. It could have been anything. So she is currently waiting for the result of a PCR test, which we've been told will take between 24 and 48 hours. So sending lots of love to Kate. Hope you feel better soon. Go A did still rehearse today, but with a stand-in performer who
did amazing, by the way.
Did a fantastic job.
Yes.
I mean, it's obviously the stand-in performer that they've been using for the stand-in rehearsal. So this is before the artists had got here. And I understand she was also the stand-in for Bulgaria, I think, or I may have got the country wrong. But yeah, she did a fantastic job. I have to say that if that was me, I'd feel really nervous about doing it as well, especially when you know that there's lots of media that are now watching you. So props to that girl, whoever she was. She did fantastically.
Her name is Emmy van Stein. You can
so she's Dutch.
Yeah, she's Dutch. Yes.
Emmy van Stein for the Netherlands some year.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah, well, she did
love.
fantastic, and obviously there was a lot of attention, especially on that on those rehearsals today, because of the announcement that we got from Ukraine.
Can we also just mention the fact that it was this song in particular that needed a stand-in, which is so Ukrainian, and I don't know what this person's relationship is to the language, but like, can you imagine just like going in and doing something that is so, if she doesn't have any point of I don't know, reference to that culture, just going in and doing that. And I mean, she might not have been doing it at in the way that Kate would do it, but it was what needed to be done as far as I'm concerned.
And she really nailed her vocals, and she did. If I closed my eyes, I would have thought it was Kate. And the shout out, because she was wearing exactly the same colors, like a green blouse and a black onesie, and that takes effort to actually wear the same colors in the same format as the actual singer was wearing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the stand-ins do a lot of stand-in rehearsals before, so she obviously will know the song inside out, and will have been studying Kate as well.
Yeah.
And because the delegations will have to send kind of videos on how they want it to look on stage, etc. But like I said, all eyes are on her today, and she wouldn't have been expecting it. So yeah, she's really been the star of the day as far as I'm concerned. But the rehearsal for Ukraine went ahead very well. No real difference to the first rehearsal. Nothing's changed. It was solid in the first place, wasn't it? So it was good to see the guys on stage. Good to see the guys rocking it on stage again today. But if we go to the start of the day, we had the Roop from Lithuania. Again, we didn't really see much of a difference. Clara, I know you spoke to the guys after their rehearsal.
Yeah.
Polished.
Yes, it's a finished product. They came from the Pavando Ishnaujo, the Lithuanian national selection. They came with a finished product, and it's basically they've inserted pretty much the same performance. They've tweaked the backdrop to suit the big staging, but it's very much what we already saw. I asked them how was the first impression of them performing on a big stage, and they told me that it wasn't strange for them because they had already done their live on tape, and they found an arena in Lithuania that was as big as the Rotterdam stage, so they were very used to it.
Yeah. How did it look on screen, guys?
Oh, it looked amazing. Like when you've got the yellow and the purple and all these bright colors kind of just in your face, flashing constantly for 3 minutes. It's very eye-catching. And as a first rehearsal, it definitely woke me up. So, it's a good kind of caffeine boost as well in some form.
It's interesting because, the Roop, when they won Pavando Ishnaujo with Discotheque, they were kind of one of the ones to watch. But it feels like it's been a bit quiet in terms of talking about them. And a lot of the talking has been about other countries. And that might just be because what we've seen from them is nothing new. It's kind of what we saw from them in the national final. It's very reminiscent of their music video. So it might be that through the rehearsals we're not getting the impact. But again, it always goes back to the casual viewer who will be tuning in for the first time in the semi-final and won't have ever seen their video or seen one of their performances before. And it's going to do extremely well in the semi-final. And there's no doubt about this going through, really. And potential top 5, I would say.
Yeah, possibly.
I think Stuart and I have new doubts about it.
It really just has to do with the fact that the semi-final is so stacked. Like, it's a few days ago when we saw the first rehearsals, it was, falsely we were thinking that certain countries had their fate sealed for them. But yeah, like today has proven that wrong, and now it just seems so open. And it was interesting because I was listening to an interview that Sietze Bakker did with Jan Boers, and he was explaining the running order and particularly that area of the running order and why they wanted to open with Lithuania. And his reasoning was because Eurovision has been gone for a year, and we've been waiting 2 years to see something new. And this has, definitely a lot of characteristics of a Eurovision performance, but it's also a bit weird. So the reason why they chose to follow it up with Ana Soklic was because that appeals to another kind of Eurovision classic where it's a soaring ballad. And then following that, you go to Russia and Tunisia with something that's quite new for Eurovision, I would say. So, I mean, the reason why I have doubts is just because it's so stacked. I could see it somehow falling through, and it has nothing to do with what their performance or anything like that. It's just it's such a stacked semifinal.
I mean, I have no doubts, but Clara.
But for me, it's the fact that Slovenia has blown my mind. It's like, it's amazing. Tuan, you've converted me. I've been thinking about you the whole day, because what the rehearsal I saw today, it's what we were talking, Andy, this morning. It's like a winner performance. It's like the reprise of the winning song, and it's Lithuania is fun. It's fun, but you can see the quality difference when you go to Slovenia, and I think more people might get a bigger impact from Slovenia than we think.
Mm.
I mean, Lithuania has got a slight advantage in they're not following anyone, but yes, they are being followed by something that maybe we didn't think really was going to go through, and then the staging and Anne's performance has changed it.
Did.
Has changed it all. But maybe we need to start listening to Twan more. I've learned to start listening to Jess a lot more when it comes to Eurovision Fortnight, because she's very good at understand or predicting which songs will go through and which won't. So what are you saying about Lithuania, Jess?
Well, I don't remember whether I actually mentioned this in our live video this afternoon, but after watching their second rehearsal, I'm actually starting to think this could win the whole thing.
Okay.
Which is a complete contrast to Stuart and Clara, but it just had that kind of winner's vibe for me. It's fun, it's catchy, it's quirky. And if it gets a good slot in the running order in the final, then yeah, they could just do it.
I have to say, my mum, so hello to Brenda, she actually picked this one out as one of her favourites as well. So she didn't even know it was a Eurovision song. She saw me watching the video and she wanted to know what it was, and she kept asking me to put it on. So we'll see if Brenda gets it right. But I mean, I'm not sure about winner, but I can definitely see this in the top 10 in the final. So we will see. But anyway, lots more rehearsals today. I saw someone ask about Croatia. So let's talk about Croatia's performance. We had a lot of fun watching that one today, Clara. And I have to say that, out of the use of blue and pink throughout these semi-finals, for me, Croatia is one of the countries that uses it best. I love the fact that she's not using the main stage. She kind of made that side stage her own. As far as we're aware, we don't know if any of the big five in Netherlands will be using that stage as well. But so far, she's the only person performed solely on that smaller stage. The vocals seemed a lot more confident. I don't have Croatia down as a winner personally.
Me neither.
But definitely left-hand side I could see. But as you were saying, the contest is so full of good tracks and good stage. It's so hard to predict. I can literally predict 30 countries to end up on the left-hand side of the scoreboard. But how are we feeling about Croatia, Twan?
Going into Eurovision, I wasn't the biggest fan of TikTok. Like, I liked it, but I wasn't a massive fan. But I think the staging has definitely convinced me that this is a sure qualifier. Like, vocals, she nailed it. She nailed every single note of that song. And I love the fact that they're only using the runway. Like, they're not using the main stage at all. So I think it's a definite qualifier, and I would put it as one of my own qualifiers as well.
Yeah, Stu.
It's a solid entry. I really like the fact that they are making use of the not just the center stage, but the walkway and the translucent background, because it gives them like a unique place, and we haven't seen an entry be so localized around that and not use that the larger back wall. And yeah, in terms of the colors and the aesthetic, I also agree that it's being used in an effective way. And they're one of the early ones to come out with this color scheme anyway. So I want to emphasize too that I don't think this is going to be as much of a deal as people think, because we see tons of blue every year, tons of blue that changes into gold, right? And nobody really mentions that.
It's not a problem. It's just been very noticeable, I think, because it's a very distinct color and not one that we see regularly. And I think it just ties in with kind of the 80s vibe that we get with a lot of the songs.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, as far as qualifying, I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, Croatia is in there with certain other countries that have the quality to make it through, but there isn't enough room for it all. So I could see it going through. I could also see it just missing out, but I don't know. I would say that this, personally, I'm leaning more towards a qualification for this, because there are maybe a few other entries that aren't quite where they need to be in order to secure a qualification.
Yeah, I'm going to give up like predicting whether things are going to qualify, because it started to feel more and more pointless for the reasons that most of you have given tonight. I did see a question for Quan. Who do you think the Dutch jury and televote will give their 12 points to in semi-final one?
God, well, I would have said Greece, but Greece is in semi-final 2. I honestly do not know. I do not know. I have no idea. I think we're going to have a surprise. Maybe. I think the jury could give 12 to Hooverphonic. I don't think the televote will give 12 to Belgium, but I don't know. I think we could get a surprise from the televote this year.
Maybe France. Oh no, sorry.
France.
Sure, why not?
In the final, maybe. But
it's been a really long day, guys. It's been a really long day for us.
We forgive you. We forgive you.
Neil Era is pointing out there's 5 divas in that second half and no room for everyone. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're not going to make it through.
This is the best description ever.
I wouldn't be surprised if we only make it through with 2 of them, to be honest.
I mean, this year I think anything
divas?
Could happen. So
yeah, I guess it depends on who you define as a diva.
The 5 divas. Okay, please go ahead.
Well, I think people are kind of not including Kate in this because it's not that style of song, but she is, as far as I'm concerned, like one of the most impressive women that we see. But yeah, I think what like people are thinking of Destiny, Albina, Effendi, Elena, Elena and Eden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because Anna Soklic also should be considered one of these big divas.
Right. I think they're speaking about the second half, though.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
The thing is, sometimes there's quite a negative connotation as well to being a diva as well.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So yeah, but I mean, we've got some amazing female vocalists with big voices. You know, they don't have to be singing a ballad to be able to display these great vocals. Let's talk about Israel because someone mentioned them. Another great performance. The only difference that we saw today was that she was wearing the crown, I think, all the way through the performance, whereas in the first rehearsal it was put on part way through. And I actually think they had trouble with that because it looked like at one point like it had kind of fallen off or dropped slightly. So maybe that's why the change. I don't know. It also doesn't look so extreme now that she's wearing it all the way through, if that makes sense. Because it kind of appeared halfway through in the last rehearsal and it looked a little bit out of place, but now I think it actually looks fantastic. But again, another really confident rehearsal from Eden. We had those whistle notes, which I was wondering whether she was going to hold back again, but I don't think that girl holds back on anything, to be honest with you.
She did actually,
Clara,
almost.
Huh?
She did
Go on,
kind of miss out on the first, I think the first run through. She kind of tried to go for one of them and then kind of gave up, so.
Well, I think she was anticipating that she wasn't going to get it. Like maybe she felt like she wasn't going to have enough air to do it, so she stopped herself from maybe, pulling a Navarro kind of thing.
And that girl is so much fun. Clara, I can't remember whether you saw the Israeli rehearsal today.
Yes, I did see it, and I was dancing around with Tommy in the press center. We were having a great time watching that performance, that rehearsal. I think she did a great job. I was not very attentive about the technical details. I was just enjoying myself dancing, which means that for me it was a finished product. Everything was perfect, and I was enjoying my time as a fan, not so much as I was being more of a fan in that moment.
Yeah, I can see something on here from Katia Zwart. Hurtful statements about Geika's appearance. I haven't seen anything, but if that is the
Me
case,
neither.
then
I
I
haven't
know
seen
what I'd
anything
like
either.
to where I'd like to tell those people to go because I think she looks fantastic.
She looks
Um,
stunning. I love her dress. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
and it fits the staging.
Mm.
I think it's just easier for certain people to criticize women of a certain age. That wouldn't surprise me if that was the case. But yeah, she looks great.
And I love
Oh,
that the whole performance, like she carries the whole performance based on her facial expression, and that's really hard to do, to portray all those emotions during 3 minutes with half of your face. Because if you think about it, it's like using half of your face, and that's what's on the screen. So I think she does a great job.
Yeah, well, someone find those trolls on Twitter and you send them to me because we're not going to put up with that. It's been a horrible year, and this isn't the time to start criticising people unjustly for the way that they look. We're not putting up with that. Hey, Christopher, how you doing? I could see a comment about Ireland improving a lot from Rye Bailey. Yes, it improved a lot, which is what Leslie told us the other day it would. It's very, very technical.
Yeah, but for me, I feel like a lot of the technicalities were kind of a lot smoother today. They ran kind of everything flowed a lot better. And then on top of this, we had, an improved vocal performance from Leslie as well. So I think if she just keeps improving every day, then by the time we get to the semi-final, I think everyone is going to be blown away.
Yeah, it just got better and better with every take, and I was more and more impressed. And this is really, it's ambitious from a cinematic and staging point of view, and that's exactly what I love to see.
Yeah, I thought it was really clever, and it's a really great way to make staging that's not so costly, make it look so full and dynamic. I'm still not convinced about the book pages thingy flipping. I think that's still, I would either make it disappear completely, but obviously I don't have that option. But so I think that part needs to be worked on much better.
I mean, I like the concept, but like the drawings just don't look that good to me.
And
that's my problem.
I can't see the motion of the drawings while they're flipping.
I know what you mean, because it seems like they're struggling to make it a fluid kind of movement, and I think they got it better on certain takes, but that was maybe the one thing that was kind of inconsistent when it came to all of the elements together.
It is a great idea, though. I just don't think I think there's too many things already going on, and that's not necessarily, it's not a necessity that needs to happen.
The concept in itself isn't new. We've seen it in national selections even, but I think the only thing I'm missing in this artwork is a bit of color. And you'll all probably disagree with me, but I think that's what I'm missing, just a bit of color. It doesn't have to be all colorful. You still stick to the black and white, but maybe some little splashes of color. Some of that animation would look good for me. But yeah, it was a much more confident performance. Obviously, keeping Twan up.
It's late.
It's getting late.
Much more confident performance. She looked a lot happier. The vocals were better. And when you have a song like this, is exactly what the first rehearsals are for. They're not necessarily about the vocals, or it's about making sure you're in the right place at the same time to let the production people and get the camera work right, etc., etc. So Leon is asking, is it a flip book? Yes, there is a section where they hold two books up and they flip through the pages.
And she's in the
Unfortunately,
middle.
every time they've done it, it's not synced. And I think that's what bugs me. And I'm focusing more on the fact that they're not totally in sync than what she's doing. It might have been better in one of the other run throughs. I only saw one of them.
But I think it's also I get why that's a trouble area, but I don't know if the audience will be that attentive to it. So I wouldn't make it like a critical aspect of their talking about qualifications. Yeah, it's an area that could use some sanding out.
Oh no, it wouldn't affect qualification. I'm just saying that personally for me, that's what I'm focusing on. It's not in sync, and that bothers me when I'm watching the performance, because I'm then taking my attention off of her, and that should be supplementing her rather than being rather than being the focus. I can see someone shouting out, "Go Tix!" So let's talk about Tix, the man, Clara, the rehearsal today.
The rehearsal was good. He's a great performer. I'm really happy with what he's bringing to the stage. I think I find his performance really relatable, and I find the lyrics of his song very relatable, and I really like the song. It's one of the ones I listen to whenever I'm walking around the world.
Yeah, Jess.
Well, for me, I was never really a big fan of Tix's song, but then when I saw his rehearsal today, I think I'm kind of slowly starting to like the song quite a bit, actually. I was very impressed with his rehearsal today. The song comes across very well on stage, I think, and kind of has a good stage presence, if that makes sense. And vocally, he was very good. Kind of visually, it looks very good on stage as well. And I'm now kind of changing my mind and thinking that this could actually be a qualifier.
Yeah, I'm quite sure it's a qualifier. I have no doubt about that, because he's a really big name in Norway, and also he's known internationally, I think. So I don't doubt about his qualification.
I was talking to some of the other people in the press centre today, and they were loving Tix as well. They were talking about how much promotion they've done around his story, and you know, how they hope people will see his story and that will help them vote. My issue with that is you don't see the story through the staging or through the performance. So unless you've followed and you've seen this documentary or you've seen these vlogs, which a lot of the audience won't have, then you know, that worries me when it comes to Tix, that people will still not understand unless it's something that they can get through as part of the postcard. You know, we're not sure how these postcards are looking, but otherwise people are going to have no idea about the story, about where the song has really come from and where he's come from and what he's doing. That's my only concern really about Tix. But I do like the song. I like him. He's a real character, and you have to give him lots of credit for what he's achieved in his life. I mean, he's a huge star in Norway. People love him there, and quite rightly so.
To be honest,
go on.
Okay, thanks. To be honest, I like. We've talked about the music video a few times, and I thought that was a really effective way of telling his story. I don't know if they were ever intending to go to that level of like explaining what his name means, how he has Tourette's syndrome, and how that affects the story within the song of, feeling like you're less of a person and somebody else is too good for you. But like I take your point, because what's that?
I can answer that.
Okay, please.
He was meeting with his producers to create a video clip, and he got a lot of scripts. He didn't like any of them. And he put a timer in his phone and said, okay, 1 minute to think, to brainstorm what I want. And he went for his own story.
Well, there you go. But yeah, I guess, like, again, I think that if they were able to convey that, then this would be much more of a contender. But I think the as you outlined, the concept is separate from that, and maybe it's not the best way to convey the meaning of the song, but I think they're going for different things. They're going for his over the top look. They're going for the angel aesthetic, and I don't know. I've kind of lost my train of thought. But
no, but I understand what you mean. The story his own personal story came after, like him probably wanting to. He had already the song, he had already the staging, and to take it a little bit further, then he decided to dig into his own personal story, but that would not have necessarily been the actual concept, because if we take into the lyrics into consideration, there's nothing about his personal story so much.
Yeah, there you said it way more eloquently than I could.
But they are still trying to push the story though, and that's why they are seeing it as important, the delegation, the record label, to push the story, and that's why for me it's a missed opportunity in terms of this song. Yes, the lyrics to the song may not be about his story per se, but it's his story, and this whole performance is him. So yeah, I agree with Stuart. It may have made it less of a contender, but it's very likable. He's extremely likable. He's a lot of
Yes.
fun.
Yes.
I would be more than happy to see this go through. I still think he should have flown down from the sky. They could have done more with the wings.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen.
But Croatia did it in Tel
flying.
Aviv, so
Oh,
Croatia
right.
did it in Tel
he did
Aviv.
fly down, didn't he? Of course.
Yes. And
it
not
was,
But they
Rocco,
weren't
the-
flapping. Maybe him flapping and flying. I don't know.
it was the backing the vocalist, the dancers from Rocco.
yeah.
Or
and
even
that-
if at the end, if there's like a graphic and he turns into like a, I don't know, but I don't know.
But guys, you know that was the LEDs, right? That wasn't them physically coming down
What's that?
in
Really?
Croatia 2019. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it
Oh.
was them. That
No.
was the
The thing is, a lot of people talk about like flying. I feel like this is like a running joke where because people talked about Stefania flying, whether it was for Supergirl or for this year. And the closest thing that I can think of is Azerbaijan 2014 when we saw the acrobatics. But even that's kind of different. And I don't think we've ever seen anyone actually fly. And it
Conchita
seems a little
Wurst.
bit.
Dima
What's that?
Bilan.
Conchita Wurst in 2015 in the opening. She
Okay.
flew.
we've seen
Right,
a lot
but
of
we're talking about
flying in the
competitors,
openings,
right?
yes. But
Yeah. And I don't think it's very feasible considering the production. I don't know. Maybe they could do it, but it just I don't know if that is allowed. You know.
Oh, it will happen one day. Inevitably, it will happen. The staging gets more and more wild, more and more expensive, more and more technical. It will happen. I just wished it had happened with Tix because I'm ready for someone flying on stage. Anyway, who else do we have today?
Azerbaijan comes to mind.
Mhm.
Matahari.
I really like the
Totally
rehearsal.
solid.
Like, I felt they had tweaked little things here and there, and they gave it was more of a rounded performance. Everything was way more integrated than last rehearsal. I love that Effendi kept switching from her combat boots to her high heels to perform more comfortably. And I don't know, I really like it. She had her hair done this time, and with how she's probably going to look for the final performance. So I really like it. I think everything looked perfect.
Yeah, Jess, for me, it was like listening to a studio version of the song. The vocals were
Oh, yeah.
fantastic.
And the fact that she's like doing all this dancing as well and keeping up this strong vocal is very impressive. But also I would agree with Clara that the whole rehearsal today kind of felt more fine-tuned and it kind of, I think they must have made some kind of changes to the camera angles maybe because the stage seemed a lot fuller and like kind of less empty, which is obviously a good thing. So I'm hoping that if these small improvements carry on, then it's going to be amazing in the semi-final.
I'm going to agree with Morten V because he says there still are too many wide shots, and that is true.
Yeah.
They have there's less wide shots than before, but there's still maybe too many wide shots. And I was talking to Tommy that those wide shots still last too long, so a lot of dynamism is lost in those long shots.
I would agree with that as well. Yeah, there's still I think a disconnect with the speed. I will hand it to them because they have improved substantially, and I would say they're probably among the entries this today that's improved substantially. But yeah, I don't consider them a lock for the final like some people do, to be honest.
Maybe I see it less than I would have done before, but I still see it as a contender to go through. I would be surprised if it doesn't go through. For me, though, the real impact moment is towards the end, where it's kind of that big build up. And I almost worry that maybe because that doesn't happen early enough in the song now, that might slightly ruin the chances. But you know, she's really brought it. She hasn't been with those dancers for long either. She only met the dancers like 5 days ago. So I think the first rehearsal was all about kind of getting that chemistry together on stage. But yeah, you know, it's we're not talking about who we think is going to go through.
Apparently not anymore.
And who else? Do we
Cyprus.
Russia.
Oh,
Oh.
Cyprus.
Jess, I snuck into your guys' live earlier, and I saw you saying that you had Cyprus down as now a top 5 potential. I think.
Yeah, my ever-growing top 5 is getting bigger. I mean, her performance today, I don't know what it was because essentially I don't think they've really changed anything from the first rehearsal, but it just seemed a lot better, a lot fuller, a lot more kind of powerful for me. I don't know how or why this is happening, but I just kind of watched it and was really blown away, which is what prompted me to think, okay, this could do a lot better than what I previously thought. And I think it's one of the best performances of this season.
Yeah, it was a surprise to me when we saw it at first. I actually thought maybe I'm discrediting Elena because I thought, there's going to be this big dance routine. The vocals are going to sound shaky. It's going to be a lot more focused on the movement. And she's just got both elements now down. The bass in the song sounds fantastic when we hear it in the press center. The colors, the mirror in itself as a kind of performance, it's quite simple. It's pretty much the camera angles and focusing on the mirror, and then this great choreography and brilliant red lighting as we expected. But they've nailed it down. And of course we've got the what's it called, guys? The move back.
This kind of bridge backbend, yeah.
But yeah, I just call it a backbend. I don't even know if that's a proper dance move, but it's become a bit of a signature now throughout the contest. People trying to do this dance move, and it was like the Eleni's head shake, wasn't it? It's that kind of impactful move. So they've been very, very clever, and for me, Cyprus's chances have improved much. Twan, how are you feeling about Cyprus?
I loved the song already, and I was just really surprised about her vocals because going into this, like with these kinds of songs, it's always the question, like, are these songs going to be good live? Like, is the vocalist going to be able to sing this song and dance around the stage well? And this definitely is the case because her vocals are stunning. Like, I think that her vocals are perfect. In the first rehearsal, like, her vocals were good, but not perfect. But in this rehearsal, I definitely heard that her vocals had improved and now are like ready for the semi-final. And I think in the form as it is right now, I think it's a definite top 10 contender or even top 5 contender, as Jess has said.
I'm going to move on to Sweden because time is evading us, unfortunately, and I'm feeling very, very tired now. But we did have Tuesday today. Stu, I don't know if you caught that rehearsal.
I didn't. It was a bit early for me, but
Toussaint, sorry.
Toussaint, yeah.
He did teach me how to say his name, and it's Toussaint.
I saw, and I'm trying to practice it as I do because I think it's important to get people's names the way that their mother calls them. Estuart, yeah, that's what everybody calls me in Spain. But that I kind of like. I don't know. It just makes me laugh a bit. Sorry about Sweden. I don't really have anything to say about it because I didn't see it.
Yes.
I mean, I guess there's not too much that can be said, considering that the performance is exactly the same as what we saw in the first rehearsal. But yeah, I mean, it's a good kind of solid performance. I thought his vocals and his backing vocalists were good. I think the song comes across very well on stage. And I do think that this will qualify. I know a lot of people are kind of doubting their qualification this year, but no doubts from me.
Twan.
Well, yeah, I think I agree with Jess because it's nothing new that we haven't seen before. Like the performance is pretty much the same as the first rehearsal and even the same as in Melodifestivalen. But like that doesn't say that it's not a good performance. Like obviously it's a great performance. Like his vocals are great. He's got great stage presence, and I'm not sure if I would call this a safe qualifier, but I think it's definitely up there in the qualifiers.
Clara, we watched it together today.
Yeah. I don't think his vocals were great today. Like the overall vocals, yes, but then when he has to reach for the high notes at the end can you hear it? I just think they're not there. And maybe it's because his surgery, maybe it's because he's saving it, but those high notes are not there. But the rest of the song is very energetic, and hopefully the rest of the song can make up for that fact, because I really like Tusa as a performer. I think it's very charismatic, has a lot of energy, but really those high notes were not there.
Yeah. Hey, Sweden, the whole of Sweden.
Yeah, we've got the whole of Sweden in the live chat.
we also
Could you
love
imagine?
Tusa's energy. We have to say
Absolutely.
he's such a talented artist, and we did an interview with him after his first rehearsal. Absolutely lovely, charismatic guy, and he's got a huge future ahead of a
bright future ahead of
Huge
him.
what?
A huge future.
a bright future ahead of him. He's going to have such an amazing career. I don't think, even if he doesn't get the result he's hoping for, I don't think this will be the last that we see of him. I can see some other comments. Who else do we have? Do we have Bulgaria tomorrow?
Russia, Manisha.
Oh, of course. How can we forget Manisha? And interestingly, the tracksuits that the other performers were in weren't the actual outfits that they were wearing. So if you remember when we spoke about Russia before, Clara, we were saying, they're in these like Adidas tracksuits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that literally was just their casual wear. So they're now in these gold kind of outfits. But everything about that song works for me. And she's got an infectious personality that comes across very well on stage. Twan.
Going into the rehearsals, Manisha was my fourth place. And after her rehearsal, she's now my second place, because I absolutely love this. Like, I love the song, I love her vocals, I love everything about it. I love the quirkiness of it, I love the performance, I love her energy, I love her as an artist. Like, she's probably my favorite artist this year. She's just such an amazing person.
Mm-hmm. And Jess?
Yeah, again, I agree with Twan. I absolutely loved Manisha's rehearsal today. I love that she's kind of bringing her own personality to the stage as well, which we see especially at the beginning when she's in this big dress. And, it's very different and unexpected from Russia, but in a good way. And I'd love to see more of this type of stuff from Russia in the future.
Mm-hmm.
I can see a comment about Italy apparently being third in the odds now. I haven't been keeping up with the odds. But yeah, that doesn't surprise me, even though we haven't seen them rehearse yet. So I wonder what the odds will look like after tomorrow. And we see I'm just going to call them the Big Six, rehearsing tomorrow. But guys, we're going to wrap it up because we're extremely tired, and we did say that we would have to keep it short today. I can just see Kristina Sandova from the Czech Republic. We'll just say that I absolutely loved Benny's performance. We've obviously got his second rehearsal tomorrow, so looking forward to seeing that. But yeah, he's such a charismatic performer. That comes across very well. And for me, Czech Republic's chances of going through have gone up. I'm not sure where they are in the odds. I would imagine, does anyone know the odds?
Yeah, wait, I've got them here. Let me put them up. Italy is fourth at the moment, so the person that said they were third, they are fourth. And Czech Republic is currently 33rd.
33rd.
Oh, but in terms of the semi-final.
In terms of
we'll
the
come back to that.
Yes.
But he, if you're from the Czech Republic, you should be proud of his rehearsal because it was fantastic. And love his outfit. I wish I was younger and I could wear all of these clothes because these performers look so cool. But anyway, guys, we are going to wrap it up there. Make sure you come back tomorrow. We've got lots more stuff coming for you tomorrow. We're not resting. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe because we've got lots of interviews coming up. We're going to have more interviews tomorrow. We've got more scheduled. So and lots of other content for you. And we will be doing as many lives as we can, especially next week when we've got the semi-finals and we've got the jury shows, etc. So much going on next week. Eurovision fortnight is going far too quickly.
And thank Stuart that he's in Canada because he can work on those interviews where we speak.
Yes, but thank you so much, guys, for watching. We're going to call it a night, and we will see you all tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.